So anyway, the other day I was talking to some buddies of mine in the clan, and I decided to do a video on the ubiquitous Sherman. Now, this is a tank that Blitz loves for some reason. There are 7 variants of this tank in the game in one form or another, ranging from the initial M4 Sherman in the American tech tree, all the way up to the Sherman that is seen in the film Fury, which is a premium tank. But I don't want to look at any of those. I want to look at this particular tank. Now, there are 2 Shermans in the British tech tree, the Sherman 5, which is a tier 5 tank, and this particular tank, the Sherman Firefly, which is a tier 6 British medium. A lot of people don't like this tank, and that got me thinking, why? Now, I was speaking to a couple of clan mates, as I was saying, and they're still grinding away through the tiers, and the Sherman Firefly is on a sort of branch of the British tier. You don't need to grind this tank, realistically, unless you want to collect tanks. So a lot of people try to avoid it because a lot of people don't like it. So I decided, well, let's have a look at it. Does it deserve this really awful reputation, or is it a tank that is undervalued and underrated? Well, let's find out. So let's have a look at the Sherman Firefly, the British tier 6 medium tank on the British tech tree. Now, this tank is based on a real tank. Sherman Fireflies really did exist. They are modified M4 Shermans that were part of the Lend-Lease program. Basically what the British did, they took the tank, modified it by sticking a massive 17-pounder gun on the top of it. Now, the reason they did that was because they needed to penetrate Tiger 1s in Panthers, which this tank was the most reliable Allied tank to be able to do so. And the Germans even knew that, which is why they made them a priority target. So, taking into account its historical pedigree, why do people not like this tank in Blitz? And trust me, I've spoken to a lot of people recently, and a lot of people think this tank is absolutely pants. And if they can avoid it, they do, preferring to take out one of the numerous variants in the American tech tree. It doesn't really help that the Sherman Firefly on the British tech tree is a sort of branch of that tech tree. And you don't really need to grind it to get another tank. It's sort of separate, so you can avoid it if you really wish. And trust me, people wish. But why? Well, basically, the first main reason is because, like all Shermans, its armor is pants. As you can see here, almost anything from tier 5, tier 6, and definitely at tier 7 is going to pen this thing. The armor is not that great. You can't really side scrape in it. No point going all down. It's not great armor-wise. But is that the only reason? Well, no. I would say the biggest problem with this tank is the gun depression. It has a absolutely horrendous 6 degrees. I mean, look at this. I cannot get that gun down at all. It's just awful. And this is the problem with this tank. But it does have a sneaky trick up its sleeve, namely this gun. Okay, it'll only dish out eye alpha of about 160, which is standard for a tier 6 Sherman. But the thing that really makes this tank stand out is the penetration. This has one of the highest penetrations, if not the highest penetration, at tier 6. Okay, the KV2 beats it, and the KV1S is just slightly more. But wow, this is a medium tank, and it has better penetration than any of the heavy tanks on the German or the British line at tier 6. Really, it's off the charts. So you're driving around in a medium tier 6 tank that will literally pen everything you come across. Unbelievable. And it does it in less than 5 seconds, and it dishes out eye alpha of 160. You can cause a lot of damage. But, as we said, the armor really is pants. I mean, look, I bounce nothing. But look at this. I can pen a KV1S easily. So, okay, everything can pen you, but you can pen everything else. But you just can't do so in the open. I mean, and that's the thing about this tank. You've got to be mindful. You're not going to be able to side scrape on it. You're not going to be able to haul down in it. The chances of you bouncing shots are pretty rare, to be honest with you. Not impossible, believe me. And you'll see later on, not in this game, but in other games, that you really can bounce shots. Now, this is not a particularly great game. I mean, we've done 962 of damage. Nobody's bounced us. I mean, we've lost half our hit points because we're not going to bounce anything, but we've been a real menace. I mean, we went toe-to-toe with a T-29, which is a tough tank, and we had no problems. We've just gone toe-to-toe with a KV-1S. Again, no problems. This is the glorious thing about this tank. That gun is amazing. It really is. It's super accurate, will pen everything. Okay, you're not going to get massive damage rolls, but you're going to have a really good time. Now, as you see there, we didn't do particularly well, but you need to, as Bushka said in one of his videos, you have to play the tank, not the class. And this is the thing with the Sherman Firefly. You have to understand its limitations, and its limitation really is this armor. It is incredibly weak. It is an incredibly vulnerable tank, and it needs a bit of TLC. You have to be nurturing to it. You have to make sure you don't put it in compromising positions. You have to be a little bit conservative, and you have to put that gun in a position where it's going to cause the maximum effect. And once you do that, and once you know that, and once you understand that, this tank is not as bad as you think. It really isn't. I mean, look at this. Boom. I mean, 143. Unbelievably accurate. It'll pen everything, and it'll pen it easily. This gun is just spectacular and great fun. But hey, don't ever be too far away from cover. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, because without cover, you're going to get hurt a lot. You really are. Because you need to be able to back into cover. You need to be able to protect this tank at all costs. It's a paper-thin tiger, but it will hurt everything you come across. It really will. And don't play it like a TD, really. I mean, don't find a position in camp in it. It is a second-line support tank. Of course it is. It's not got the armor to be on the front line, realistically. And I get more effect out of this tank in positions like this. Okay, the Panzer 3-4's having a pop at me, and he's going to pen me because everybody can pen me. But look at me just whittle down the hit points on this T-50. Now the T-50 is a dangerous tank, and eventually he goes. And in this little tank, we've already caused 1,300 damage. And now we can have a pop at the KV. Okay, that one bounced. It was a poor shot. And of course, I've got to be very careful. I'm down to 86 hit points because every man and his dog can pen me. But wow, I mean, we can still carry on. We can just fight less than 5 seconds and we're dishing out almost 160 a shot. I mean, this is one hell of a gun, guys. Okay, it's on a tank that has extreme limitations with regard to this armor. But when you've got a super accurate gun that will pen everything, just find a position like this and wow, you'll just have a whale of a time. You really will. And you know, in quick succession, we've got 1,700 damage, we've got 3 kills, we're down to 86 hit points, we're using the gun to the maximum effect. And you know, I mean, I don't know where that shot went. But now we can have a pop at the K. Okay, he's only got 1 hit point left, so it's an easy kill for us. But this is where the tank comes into its own. Find a nice position like this, support the team, and just rain hellfire on everybody. Because this is just a farm machine. It really is. It's just there to farm damage. Now, we came top there. We did pretty well. Okay, we got a bit lucky a couple of occasions, I mean, because the armor is so thin. But if you put it in a good position, and you're able to get shots on target, wow, you're just going to rack up these points quicker than you expect. But like I said, you've really got to be conservative. I mean, if you are not conservative in this tank, you're back in the garage before you know it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Now, the other limitation of this tank is the gun depression. Oh my life. I mean, 6 degrees. It's just awful. It really is. And I'm on a hill here. Okay, it's got an elevation of 20 degrees, which again is pretty low for a Sherman. I mean, most Shermans carry 25, and I just can't get the gun down on anything. There's no point me going up there. So I've got no choice but to turn around and look at this scav. It's the only option I've got. There's no way I can get the gun down. It's just not possible. When you've got 6 degrees of depression, you're really limited in what you can do. Now, the scav's not going to hurt me that much. I can knock out a shed load of damage, and he's gone quicker than he expected. But look at this gun depression. I mean, it's just truly awful. I mean, that was a snapshot in the end. And I tried to ram him, but I rammed the scav instead. And, you know, it's not a brawling tank. And thankfully, the VK was more interested in the scav than he was in me. Else, he could have really hurt me. Yeah, I think the VK made a poor choice there. He should have focused on me rather than the scav. I mean, because this Firefly can dish out more damage than the scav. So, I said earlier that he can bounce shots. Okay, so here we have a T-150. Okay, he misses the first shot. I bounce him. And now I'm trying to get this sort of side angle, which you can do. It can bounce a little bit. And look, you can bounce. And I've just bounced 320. So you can bounce in this thing, but seriously, don't try that. It's not advisable to try and side scrape or bounce on this thing. There are some angles. If they aim for the sides and you're angled up, they won't get you. But seriously, it's not an easy tank to bounce. It really isn't. And it's more luck than judgment. So we know its limitations. We know it's got pants armor. We know it's got absolutely pants depression. And we also know it's got an amazing gun. It'll dish out a lot of damage and it will pen everything. And now we're looking good, but we've got a KV2 left. And that thing is going to be able to waste me by just blinking. And I'm trying to I'm not trying to side scrape, I'm just trying to put the tank in a difficult position for the KV to get any type of shot on me. And thankfully, I was looking at the minimap and I knew literally all my team was around me. Else, the KV2 would have just sat there and just had a pop. He decided caution's better than being a YOLO monster, and you know that's his downfall because now he's allowed us all to attack him. And look, I can pen every part of that KV2, and he goes, and we do just shy of 2,000 damage. We were almost front line, but we knew the limitations. And we had a really good game. We get another first class. And the other thing about this tank, for the life of me, I mean, I played this tank about, quite a few times. And in doing this video, I've played it a lot of times. And I just can't get the mastery on it, which is really annoying because I think I've got the mastery on every other variant of the Sherman. But hey, know the limitations of this tank. Yes, we know it's got poor gun depression. Yes, we know it's got really bad armor. But that's not the strengths. Like I said earlier, as people who are older, wiser, and a lot better at playing this game than me have said, namely Bushka, play the tank, not the class. And that is really apt when it comes to the Firefly. Don't play it like a super duper frontline medium. It's not going to help you. You're going to get wasted, you're going to be penned, you're going to be back in the garage, and you're going to be hating this tank forever and a day. I really didn't like this tank when it first came out. I was disappointed because I thought it was going to be a bit better armor wise than what it is. But after playing it a few more times and getting to understand its limitations, I've had good fun, and I think I've got a 60% win rate in this tank. It can be a tank you can really play. I absolutely love this tank. I think this tank is a diamond in the rough. Yes, it needs a relatively good player to play it. I'm not saying that good player is me, don't get me wrong, guys. And it needs a good player to get the most out of it. But with a bit of TLC and in understanding the limitations of this tank, even average players can have fun in it. And that's the idea. You don't need to be a super duper unicum to take this tank out, but you need to be someone who understands this tank. And that's what I'm trying to do in this video here. I'm trying to get the point across that look, I'm not far from cover here, and I'm raining fire down on other tanks. And this is the thing. Play this tank to its strengths, not its weaknesses. Know the weaknesses and the armor and the gun depression. And you will get on with this tank a lot more than previously. And like I said, a lot of people give this tank such a bad rap. A lot of people really don't like it. I mean, I was on the forums the other day and on Discord, and boy, does everybody slate this tank. They really do. I mean, it's an unloved tank. And I don't think that's right, because I think it's a tank that needs a lot of love. And if you love it a lot, you'll have fun out of it. I mean, we've done mediocre damage. We've not taken a hit. Okay, we're going to take some hits now, because a Panther is right in front of us, and you can't brawl in this thing. And boy, look at this gun depression. It's just awful. No matter what I do, I can't get it down. A little bump. Oh, it's just atrocious. But don't write this little tier 6 Sherman off just yet. Give it a bit of TLC. Be more conservative. Play it to its strengths, not its weaknesses, and you'll have fun. Well, I hope this has been useful, guys. And as I always say, I'm not the best player in Blitz. This is just my opinion on how I play this tank. I may not be right. You may play the tank a lot better. You may play it and be more effective than me. And I'd love to know. I'd love to know your thoughts. Please comment below. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that this tank should be played differently. And together, let's help the other players get better at playing this game. Same with the replays. Guys, I really love getting your replays. I really do. I love showing your replays. I love showing other players out there how players play this game. So if you really want to send me your replay, do so at the email fujitsblitz@gmail.com, and trust me, I will play your replay. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but your replays will be played regardless of what you may think. Guys, I hope, like I say before, this has been intuitive and insightful. And until the next time, have fun out there, guys. Have great time on the battlefield, and happy tanking. Hey, I've been Fujit, and you've been great. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I'd love if you would press subscribe. Who knows, we can do some more. By all means, drop me comments, tell me what can be improved, and tell me what you'd like to see. I'd really love to know. Anyway, until the next time, guys, happy tanking.